Hey, how are we doing today? This is my first video, at least on YouTube, and I am so happy. I am going to be starting a brand new podcast, and I want, oh, I had a little mistake there. And I definitely want to talk about everything with fashion and what's around fashion. That has a lot to do with fashion, what's going on in the world today, and a lot about what I've been doing. Um, a little bit about me. My name is Perry Jones, or my full name is William Perry Jones II. And I've been in the game, in the industry. If you want to count just fashion only, I started my business May 1st, 2011. And that was actually in Phoenix, Arizona. Just been a long journey. Just been a long journey, everybody. And so, anyway, I've been around for a very long time. I started off as a model in the 2000s or 1996, 97 in that area, and I didn't get going consistently until about 2000. So, been around for you can call 30 years. I've styled and I've dressed a few people that you might have heard of. A lot has been going on with my business, and now I'm situated out here in Southern California, Los Angeles area. So a lot to catch up on, and you can check me out on multiple channels outside of this one. YouTube is what I'll be doing mostly for the podcast. So I think my times, I will probably be doing it right now. I started at 12:30, but hopefully I can get a set time down. And I'm looking for probably around noon Pacific time or 1 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure everybody's up and out and going and eating breakfast, and they can have a chance to probably, hopefully, come in. And I'm gonna probably do this about twice a week. I don't want to wait like 1 day a week. I feel like there's a lot going on, especially in this world today and with fashion. So I will definitely try to. I will try to maybe get out there on probably middle of the week, maybe Wednesday. Maybe I'll do a Wednesday night, probably like 7 o'clock Pacific time. So or 6 o'clock, because I know that East Coast, some people might be getting ready for bed or close to it. So, and hopefully I can get some people around the world. And I know they're like anywhere from 8 to 12 hours ahead of us, and I can probably catch them in the morning. So a lot to cover. Like I said, this is my first podcast on YouTube. Years ago, I did a podcast, and I had it on Spreaker. I think YouTube owns Spreaker and not Speaker, Spreaker. And there wasn't. It was okay. I had covered everything. I wasn't just covering fashion. I was covering the world. I was doing everything. I was talking about everything. So I definitely want to get back into just doing a little bit more focus about fashion. As you see some things behind me, I should just shut those blinds. It's kind of bright back there. So give me 1 second. Yes, as you see, I am in a beautiful suit. And actually, That's what I wore for New York Fashion Week. What you see right behind me, right there, boom, is from Milan. I did Milan Fashion Week, and I just did Milan Fashion Week uh, 3 months ago. So I have that in the background. So hopefully that's not too distracting. But I want you to take a look, and if you get a chance to get a little distracted, that's okay. I wanted that in the background. So this is like a trial by error. So you hang out with me, and throughout this journey, I will definitely be upgrading everything. I will have a microphone pretty soon. Right now, I got this computer microphone. Computer microphone. Everybody got to start somewhere. Even the best that has millions of followers, millions of views, had to start somewhere. So there's times I got to get used to looking at a camera. It's been a while since I looked at a camera. I'm not afraid of the cameras. I've been around the cameras for the last 30 plus years, so I know how to talk in front of a camera, look in front of a camera. And like I said, I was a model for a dozen years. And now that I'm behind the scenes, yes, I still get out, and I still get out there and put on my what. So, well, fellas, thank you for coming in. Thank you for chiming in, and let's dive into it. So, like I said, my name is Perry Jones. I gave you my intro as far as my full name. You can look me up on Instagram, Perry Jones LL. That's my everyday Instagram. If you want to just have like, um, I do put some fashion on there, but at the same time, it's not all fashion. That's just everything I do, everything I cover, and I probably will link this up more to that channel, but I will occasionally put it on my fashion channel, which is Perry Jones Collection. So please follow me on those channels on Instagram, also Facebook, Perry Jones. Easy. So Facebook, I'm not on there as aggressively as I was before. I feel like Facebook is more family, more just I don't know. People put a lot of gossip. There's a lot of gossip on Facebook. I feel like it's lost its way. Facebook was number one for many people for years, and for some reason, people still. Facebook was really created by Mark just to get in contact with people that you haven't seen in years or decades or whatever. Catch up with family members, catch up with everything. Just catch up with your friends from the past, really. And that was beautiful when it first got going in the late 2000s. That was beautiful. I didn't get on Facebook until like 2010, and I was cool with it. I was really conservative because I always felt like I didn't want people to know my business. I didn't want people to get in and know what I'm doing every day. Why do I need to post on what I'm eating? Why do I need to tell people what I'm doing on the daily? I didn't get that. That was 2010. About a year later, Twitter came around, and then it just kind of like took off a little bit when like people were kind of chiming in on what's going on in the world, the stories. So I signed up for Twitter, and actually my Twitter account, or X now, it's Perry Jones, or Perry Jones LL. I felt like maybe this is catching on. People are talking about their daily and what's going on in the world, and they're chiming in. I mean, and adulterers at that time, even I was into the, just looking at celebrities and looking at people. I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're thinking about that world. I wonder what they're thinking about this person or that situation, that topic. It was kind of cool, and so I got on that train too. And this was all basically before I started my business. Facebook definitely. Twitter was about the time I founded my business. I don't think I got my LLC at that time. But it was close to the same time that I said, okay, you know what? I want people to know more about my business, and okay, let me just check this out. I'll check it out. So that's what I did. So I signed up for Twitter, and then remember at this time it was no pictures. Facebook rarely had pictures, and selfies was not a topic at all. Selfies were just like, ugh, who wants to take a selfie? And you were looked upon as like, oh, you think you all that, you're conceited, or you taking a selfie out in public. It was rare to see a face, or you taking a picture of what you're doing, or whatever, anything, food or whatever. And it was just like, oh man, that's strange. So I would say the first year and a half to 2 years on Facebook or Twitter at the time, you shoot me having a picture, maybe one or two, but it was just like it had been like a concert or something, like a big event. I just took a picture. Okay, whatever. Here I am. Boom. But it was rare, even across the board. Uh, Twitter, Facebook, it was rare to see pictures until the lady I was following on Facebook, nice, attractive lady, fitness lady, and she was putting pictures. It was, what was it? End of 2011, 2012, around there. And I was like, why she keep putting pictures on Facebook? And what's this Instagram app? What is this? And she was putting nice pictures on there. She was putting pictures of her bodybuilding, and then she got to the point she was putting pictures on her eating something, and she was getting views, 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 views. And I was just like, oh, okay. Let me take a look at this. This is kind of cool. And so I looked into Instagram, and I was like, multiple people. This is when did I get on Instagram? It had to be in like beginning of 2012 or end of 2012. And I was like, this is cool. Everybody got pictures. And at that time, this is the key. At that time, it was nice pictures. It wasn't no sexual pictures. I mean, if you want to look at some women wearing shorts, showing off their, skin or their legs, I guess you can look at that as some of it was a little sexual. But I'm talking about at that time, it was innocent. At that time, people were trying to get their brand out there. I signed up, and the rest was history. At that time, it was innocent. Instagram was going on. It was taking off, and I kind of got away from the Facebook as that was actually turning towards like family and more towards people putting their problems. It was like Facebook. It was like people want the therapist thing. People would wanted to like, hey, my mother died. Hey, my mom is sick. Hey, I'm not feeling good today. Hey, I'm going to commit suicide. Can you please help me? It was like people were looking for help, and some people were looking for attention. Some people were very serious about what was going on with them. It was really bothering them, so they really wanted to have a lot. There's a lot of attention, a lot of feedback, and I started catching on to that. And even I, around that time, I was getting, even though I was, into my fashion business early on, I still wanted to chime in on what was going on in the world 2012, 2013. And in 2012, what was the main topic in 2012? The main topic in 2012 was so-called world was going to end in December of 2012. Everybody was into that world. I think there was a pastor or some type of cult leader out in Texas that was really pushing that. World's going to end. World's going to end. You better get up. You better pack up. You better do that. It's like, okay, so if the world's going to end, what are we bringing with us? what are we? What are we going to pack up some clothes? World's going to end. Pack up some clothes and pack up your best, whatever personal belongings. If it's going to end, you can't take that with you. I'm going to take some clothes up to heaven or whatever, wherever you think is you're going to be at. What am I going to do? Take my car to this special place? What am I going to do? Fly away? It was strange, and so yeah, I chimed in on that at the time. I chimed in. I was starting to get, into the other views, and I felt like I was, I hate to use the word religious, but I wasn't. But I felt like the spiritual edge of me at that time was taking over more than the fashion time. So if you're looking at 2013, 2013 going into 2014, I felt like, the truth and everything else, and wanted to talk about, yeah, we got to be awake to see what's going on in the world, and don't worry about the celebrities and la 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 la. I was kind of getting away from my original plan of why am I on these platforms? Why am I taking this, and turning it into like more like I feel like I was about to turn into like Don Lemon or something like CNN or whatever, and it was just I didn't see it at that time. And here we are, 2014. I really didn't get on social media that much. I was kind of going, I'd say towards the back half of 2014. I was going through a mild depression. I don't think I posted that much, if not, I mean, I really didn't post in 2014. I mean, at the back half of 2014 into 20, like middle of the summer 2015, because I was going through a tough time. But what I did do, a friend of mine at the time, he helped me get on to YouTube and look at, hey, they got this other channel called Spreaker, like I was saying earlier, Spreaker. And they had like a beautiful podcast. And a lot of people were, because YouTube was like banning a lot of people. YouTube was shutting people down because people were starting to get into the truth. So people were actually getting deleted off of Facebook. They didn't want at that time, this is 2015, they were really cracking down on people. They were cracking down on truth seekers or people that was edgy. People were talking about, anything. They were just shutting people down. So he introduced me to Spreaker, which was a mild platform, and you could do your podcast there. And at that time, I didn't have a podcast. Like I said, I was just um, before that, I was just getting on these platforms and just talking, or not really talking, but put it in text writing, texting, and texting rough. I was texting so rough that Twitter cut me. They shadow banned me, so I had to change my name. So anyway, I did get on Spreaker, and that was the first episode was March 2015. So 2015, I hear birds chirping now. So if you hear birds chirping in the background, who knows? It might be my ancestors. I got all my windows down, but I can hear the chirping really good here. So maybe they'd like cheer me. Maybe that's my crowd. They're cheering me on in the background. Thank you, birds. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you so much. Um, so yeah, so we talking about speaker, and I did get on a podcast, and I was kind of instead of texting about the issues, I definitely wanted to talk about the issues, and that was just a podcast. It was actually this voice. It wasn't no visuals. It was just audio. So you couldn't see me. You just can hear me. And I probably done like maybe 30 to 40 episodes from 2015 to like April of 2020. Took some time off in between or whatever. But I was talking, I called it Fashion 101. But at the same time, yeah, I did talk about fashion. Of course I did. But I was really getting into like the world. I was getting into a lot of stuff that it was like, okay, um, maybe I should kind of ease back. And then I started seeing that people were taking that seriously, and they were looking at me. They were looking at me, talking about my audience, my fans. They were looking at me not just from this, right here. This is beautiful right here. That's actually from New York Fashion Week. So I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. Let's hold on. Give me 1 second. Take a look at this. I just turned it to this past New York Fashion Week. And so have a look at this. So I could talk about that. You like that? This is my latest collection. I gotta find a way for me not to get in the way. If you guys were taking a look at that, so I will put this at an angle so you can take a look. Either way, there you go. So I will definitely be having that in the background as much as I can. And like I said, this is just something new for me. And so you will see a lot of upgrades. You will see, I always say, take a look at it now, and who knows, you know, God willing, which I feel like I will be around unless something weird changes. You have to put it out there that yes, we're all protected, and you feel like you're special, and we all feel like we're special in some type of way, which is good. But at the same time, you just have to say, I got perfect protection, and He put this on my heart to get this started, this podcast. So here I am with this podcast. I keep looking down at myself, but I am going to get used to looking at that camera because I'm so used to looking down. So, yes, I can't wait. I will be getting better equipment. I will get like lots of things, probably something laminated back there, probably my logo, my name, uh, microphones and all that. But it's beautiful. I feel like this setup here is, I like it. I like my background. I got my videos in the background. I mean, take a look at this right here. That's, I'm gonna be putting uh, different looks right there, different suits, different garments right there. So you'll see what I've done and what's to come and something similar. But yeah, we're talking like I was going through it right now about like how did I get to this point? And so I have talked about like how I got on social media, which is great. And I definitely want to give me 1 second here. Okay, just trying to give me 1 second. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, yeah. So that's where things were going. So I was on Spreaker, and I felt like I was just getting to the point people were looking at me. They're, it was a fashion thing, but they were looking at me like, "Oh, tell us more about, so and so, and tell us more about what's going on in the world." And I had to catch myself. This was probably like 2018, 2019. I'm like, okay, I've been doing this off and on for 3 years. But people didn't want to talk about fashion. People didn't want me to go through the fashion thing like they did before. Some people will still ask about what you got going on, what shows you're doing, and the latest and all that. But at the same time, they were looking for like, hey man, you know this about this person, and that celebrity, this and that, and you know this about the world, and then taking the jab and all that, and you know, sign your name in this, and people selling out to the devil. I was like, oh my God, everybody just, I had to cool off a little. I realized it was taking, it's good to know those things. It's good to be aware of what's going on around the world. But that wasn't my initial setup. That wasn't my intro. And yes, it's good to be knowledgeable because some people still want to know more. They want to know more about what is going on. So yeah, if there's a time, if it blends in with what I'm doing, yeah, I will talk about it. I will I will chime in from time to time, but basically this show is called Perry Jones One Night Only. And so when I say one night is yeah, is I just say one night only, but yeah, of course I'm gonna be doing this hopefully twice a week, unless something really comes up and I'm tied up. But I will be on the road, so I will definitely be taking my computer with me, or laptop, phone, and because I want this to be consistent. You got to start somewhere, and the key to being consistent, you gotta get out there. You gotta get out there, like I'm doing right now. Yes, I I'm a designer, and I'll get to that what I've accomplished and what I'm going to be doing and what I have done and all that stuff. I'm I want to save some juice for another show, and I definitely will. Like I said, I will tell you more about my intro here, and just follow me on all those channels. So about the podcast, um, that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be about fashion, what relates to fashion, what's around fashion, what goes on with me and my future and all that. The quick thing about me is, yes, I like I said earlier, I've been around for 14 years in the business. This past May 1st was my 14th year in the business as far as fashion. Entertainment, yeah, 30 years. But fashion, we just stick with fashion. Yes, I'm modeled for uh, plenty of companies. I've been on TV because I did a little bit of acting. I've done a few things. I've done Target, Finger Hut, Best Buy ads, Tetris commercial, TV shows I've been a part of. I've been on NYPD Blue, ER. These were shows like in the late 90s and 2000s. NYPD Blue, ER, Veronica's Closet, David Spade's show, Jag, a couple more, but you get the idea. So I've been seen as a model on billboards for Target, been in the stores and all that. So it feels good. I felt like I hit the pinnacle, mid 2000s. I just felt like there was more to do. There was much more to do. I felt like I wasn't completed. You just feel like you're not complete, and you take a turn and you say, okay, let me just slowly get out the game. Here I'm at that time in my 30s. I was like, let me get out the game. I feel like I've accomplished what I needed to accomplish. I wasn't on the stage. I wasn't in New York. I was just back and forth from my hometown, Minnesota, to out here, California. I was out here in California over 20 years ago, about 25 years ago. So I did all those things, and it was beautiful. I felt like let me sit myself up a little bit. I felt like hold up here. This is so funny. What I have on is this silk off white, and guess what? As you see right there, who is that walking out? This is New York Fashion Week, the official New York Fashion Week. I have the same outfit on. So right there, oh yeah, I did my thing. I did my thing. So I had my intro. That was my intro to all that. All right. Let's let you know. So yes, I did New York Fashion Week, the official New York Fashion Week for Global Fashion Collective, and that was this past February. Anyway, I like what was I getting at? Oh yeah, I just felt like at that time in the fashion game, it was time to move on. It was uh, for the modeling game. It was just time to move on. I felt like there was something I needed to do. This was now looking at 2007, 2008. I moved to Arizona. I wanted a fresh life for me. I definitely wanted change. And I felt like I just said, let me just take a time out, work at a job, blend in with the world, and fit in. I always felt different. I've always felt unique, even as a child. I felt I felt like I something was different about me. And reason why I say that, and I know a lot of people they like to say that, and always, everybody feels like they're different. Everybody feels like I'm unique. Everybody feels like, yeah, he made me special. I'm the anointed. I'm the chosen one. Well, I'll tell you one thing: how you can um, decide that, how you can, how you can know that is look at your surroundings, look at your family, look at your friends. Are you that different than your family? Are you that different from your friends? are you this that different? All your friends around you going to jail or getting getting women pregnant, having babies, family dysfunction, people getting sick, dying, looking older than their age, they feel like they're fitting in with every party, every girlfriend, every boyfriend. You're the one that's out, don't have a girlfriend, and you're not really invited to places. Um, just feel like you're an outsider, the black sheep in your family. And I just really felt like something was missing at that time. So we fast forward. I'll get back into my life story. That's long. Another time. And I will throw that in there from time to time about my coming up, my coming ups. But right now, this is just really my fashion intro. So I just gave you a little excerpt about what and who I am. But like I said, I felt like a couple people just kept on asking me, like, "Hey, what you into? What you doing?" A friend of mine was like, "Hey, when you gonna start that business?" Because I dabble about business, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I really didn't know. I just didn't know. I just knew it was going to be in fashion because for a while there, I just felt like I wanted to just fit in, blend in, and there's a little nudge on your shoulder, like, hey, you need to be doing something else. You need to be doing. You need to get out there. And I tried to fit in. I tried to have a regular 9 to 5 job. I really wanted to just be regular. I didn't want nobody to know like my past. I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing, what I'd done. But one day, a friend of mine, we all ate, we went out to dinner. It was like end of 2010. It was somewhere around there, like September, whatever, October 2010. He said, "Man, you need to get this going, get the business going, and whatever." And I was like, "What business?" Because I really didn't think of fashion. I really didn't think of like being a designer. Uh, at that time, um, I never did go to school for design. I went to school for art. I style. People love the way I dress. I've been dressing up since probably high school. So I used to style people all the way from late teens. I would style my roommate. I was 18, 19 years old, styling my roommate. I was always styling people. Then, when I went to Phoenix, I became a consultant, and I was a personal shopper. I was going to people's houses, talking to them, looking at their closets, seeing what they need to take out, what they need to put in, and shop for them. And so that's what I did. I did that for 2 or 3 years, but the nudge was hit me in 2010 when he talked to me, when he told me that, and it was like, bam! All right, I think I know what I want to do now, and that's what happened. Boom! I looked into everything. Went to at that time. We didn't have a lot of information. Yeah, of course the internet was there, but I went to the library and started looking up, LLCs and all that stuff, and said, I'm going to be doing some fashion. I'm going to be a designer. And like I said, I didn't go to school, didn't know how to cut, didn't know hardly much about that aspect of fashion. But I knew one thing: I could style my ass off. I knew one thing: I knew how suits should look on men, and at that time it was just men. Um, and then I know that when I was shopping for my clients, when I was giving them putting suits on them, men and women, I always tailored them right. And I didn't know what I was doing at that time. I didn't know that I was doing it right, but everybody kept saying to me, and shout out to everybody that took me in because I didn't have a degree, I didn't have credentials. They trusted me. There was something about me they trusted that I would go over to the strangers' houses and just style them up, make them look good. And I'm like, wow, this is something. And so when I started my business, I was like, should I go to school? Should I learn under a tailor? look up everything with fashion. So for about a year, I was just book, book about fashion, fashion, fashion. I learned just, reading books and the gift that the Lord gave me. The gift the Lord gave me. Excuse me. I felt like, okay. And you get the anointing, you get the divine connections. And there was a person that, he was a customer at a place I was working at. And he seen that I had to dress up in suits as well. So he always said he always complimented my suits. And he was, I think he was, a pilot, whatever. So he would go all over the world and put suits on and get tailored and everything. And he told me about I have a manufacturer that makes me personal suits. I should give you his information. And he did. And this is about the same time I started my business. And my LLC came in. It was like January of 2011 and all that. But I was dabbling about getting things started. I was sketching. Like I said, I went to school for art in college, and scale back on that. Yeah, I love drawing. I've been drawing ever since I was a little kid. So I knew how to draw. And like I said, all the books I was reading, I seen all the sketches. I seen the sketches of the illustrations of this is how a suit should look and all of that. And so I was drawing up, sketching, and all that. I'm like, I could do this too. And I showed someone that actually went to school, went to FITM, Parsons or whatever. And I showed her a sketch of mine. This was like 2010. And she was like, wow, where'd you get that from? And I was like, I sketched it myself. Wow, you're a natural. She said I was a natural. I'm like, I didn't go to school for this. You see that? I didn't go to school, the key word. I didn't go to school for that. It was all in me. People think you need school. You need you need to be under this. You need this type of education. But you know what? You have the best education in you. That spirit, that person inside you. Yes, yes, that gift. Basically, I'm saying that gift and that spirit that just tells you how to do it, how to make that. Yes, over time, that was 15, 14 years, almost 15 years ago. Over time, yeah, I grabbed, got with a few people that learned under that was in the game, Taylor, Master Taylor, all that. Yeah, you learn under someone, but I didn't like study hard. It was just like, okay, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And I got with the manufacturer that this guy, the customer, he gave me his information. I went to that manufacturer, and this was in China. And so you got to remember, at that time, it wasn't no FaceTime at that time. I forgot what it was, but see how long that was. See how long it's been. Um, but we communicated emails. We just communicated back and forth. And I just told him, this is what I want to do. I want to make him in suit. And he probably seen that I was raw. So he just told me just to sketch it out. No, don't worry about like patterns and all that, and the inches and all that. He said just sketch it out. And he did say, well, measure yourself, measure your arms, legs, stomach, all that. And my first suit ever, I was like a kid in a candy store because I sent that to him, and I didn't get it till like January, February 2011. And it was just like, oh my God, trial by error, my first ever suit. He helped me, and a light bulb just like, well, I'll put it as a fashion designer, but I didn't see all that coming. I said, if I can do that without going to school, just learning just a little bit, just with someone I just met, the manufacturer, because trust me, he wasn't the first one I asked for advice. Hey, how do I go about this business? How do I get started? You know, I got rejected multiple times, even from people that I thought was cool. I got rejected. This was at the same time when I was talking about, once my friend told me like you should get your business started, and I okay looked up everything, went to the library at the end of 2010. I started asking people in the business, asking fashion designers, asking store owners that have a fashion store, asking them about how do I get started? How do I do this? Oh, one of them, believe me, one of them was he was not giving me no juice. He wasn't giving me no angles. He didn't give me no ideas. He was actually downing me. He was actually talking bad about me. He was saying, well, this takes forever. This takes a long time. You just can't just pop up and be a designer, and you can't just do this. And he was older guy that he was cool with me when I was buying stuff from him at the store. And maybe someday he'll see this. He'll see this podcast because I will put it on Facebook and Instagram because there's a lot of pocket watchers, and I know for sure a lot of people that turned me down back in 2010 or just turned me down over the years, especially the ones that think that I didn't have the juice, I didn't have the it factor, and I'm not going to go anywhere. Oh, they've been pocket watching. They have been pocket watching. But anyway, back to the story of really getting started. That first suit of mine, a light bulb hit. I said, I can really do this. I can really do this. Like I said, that was 14 plus years ago. And so I was like, oh, okay, get business cards, because I did that first suit without no fanfare, no publicity. I had my LLC. It came in the mail around that same time. I didn't promote it. I just got a suit. I said, oh, I like that. Maybe I could do one more suit. I was making it for me. So I made like a couple more suits, dabbled, took some risk. I was really conservative, very conservative. I was showing stuff that was, I was getting material that was thick material, gray. I felt like I didn't want to get over, step on people's toes, you could say. So I was just being conservative. But I said, I kind of wanted to be out of the box. I said, let me do something different with my lapels. Let me do something different with how I cut it. And I didn't really study, even though I was looking at lots of books, I didn't understand a lot about wools. I didn't understand a lot about fabrics. I didn't know the theme for a lot of things. I just said, I'm just going to wing it. I didn't know that even my original cut was a European cut. I just cut, I just cut. I didn't know that. I just knew that Americans, that when I was going to stores and buying suits, it looked boxy. I had to take it in. Either I did it myself or I went to a regular tailor shop and I said, take it in all the way. I was actually doing my shirts the same way. Take it all the way in. I like that curve. And that's my niche is that curve. And then one thing led to another. I said, what about the flaps? What about the back? What about the vents and all that? And I dabble with some vents. I dabble with no vents. I dabble with one single vent, two, all that, la 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 la. I didn't know. It's funny when you don't know what you're doing, but the product still comes out like it's not just me. It's just how other people are looking at it. Oh, that's a fly suit. That's this. Who made that? Who that? And I say it's me. And what's funny is in 2015. So if we fast forward to 3 or 4 years after the people that rejected me, I was still working at that same job. I was starting to build up my portfolio, and I was starting to wear my own suits. 'Cause remember, I told you I was wearing suits at the job. I was wearing my own suits at the job, my own. I had like 5, 6, suits. And that one guy that turned me down, like I said, there were 3 or 4 of them, but there was one in particular that I really thought will help me. And he kind of broke my heart when he turned me down. He comes in into the place I worked at, and I'm wearing my own suit. That's the one thing that was funny. Another thing that was funny is he comes begging to me, saying, "Hey, my store is about to go belly up. I haven't seen you in a while." And I said, I didn't want to be standoffish. I didn't want to be like asshole or whatever. I just looked at him because one time he was cool and all that. So I tried to give him a benefit of the doubt a little bit. Maybe he was in his feelings. Maybe he was mad because I wasn't buying suits from him anymore at that time. And maybe he got over. Maybe he was humbling himself up, and he felt like he came to me, humbly. Of course, when nothing goes your way or things are slipping, most people will come humbly to you. And so he came humbly to me. He was like, "Hey, I missed you at the store. And I missed, our conversations and all that." And I was like, "Okay, um, you should buy, this. I'll give you 80% off, 70% off." And I told him, I said, "I'm doing my own thing now. I'm wearing my own suits." This is the funniest part. He says, "I know that. I know that you are wearing your own suits. I know you're doing your own thing." See, that was 2015. That was 3.5, 4 years after he said, the negative thing he said. So who was pocket watching me? And at that time, I wasn't blowing up. I didn't blow up till years later. But to see a lot of people, and maybe it's my upbringing or whatever. Maybe it's the try to be humble. I'm not perfect, but to them, you're blowing up, or you're on the verge of blowing up. I mean, at that time, I barely sold. I wasn't selling that much. But I was on Facebook, I was on Instagram, I was on Twitter. I was putting what I've made, what I've done. I did a few shows at that time. Nothing big, no big fashion shows, but I did do. I did a show in Vegas at that time. I did a show in Phoenix. I did a show in LA. I think I did two shows or one show, something like that. It wasn't a big show, but it was shows. I was being seen. And so when you're being seen, um, that's the key when you're being seen. I was being seen. And so it didn't matter if it was a big show or a small show, I was being seen. I was putting myself out there. And so to the viewer or to people or to the haters or whatever, you are doing well. You know why you're doing well? Even if you didn't sell a dime, it's because you did not rely on them. So you should check that off on your list and you should write that down. You don't have to be, in your mind, that successful or you have to be up here or whatever. You did not rely on them. You did not. They wanted you to rely on them. They wanted you to come to them. They wanted you to beg, ask, plead, and they probably didn't think you would succeed without them. And so that's what I felt like, what I experienced with him. And I'll fast forward to at another time talking about him and other them. I'm not gonna mention names. I'm not gonna do that stuff. I mean, unless they really, really rub me the wrong way, and I can put their ass out there. But people have. I've been patient with a lot of people, but the Lord wanted me to go solo. Of course, I've had plenty of people help. I've had actually people help me get along and then move on. Some good, they move in a good way, and some moved in a bad way. Some have moved janky stanky. And some it's just the time was up, their season was up. And I realized when you try to hold on to people, when you try to hold on, it gets worse because you feel a nudge like, okay, you maxed your stay. You helped me for the season, and you want people to be with you. I'm a kind-hearted person. I want people to be with me forever. I want people to be with me that's helped me along the journey. Like, man, you're so cool. But then as you keep going, you keep leveling up, some of those same people have different energies towards you. They were cool when you were right here. They felt like you might just be right here, and that's where your max is at. But then when you go up, you, 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 you go up more, 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 more. Some of those same people start nitpicking at you, start throwing advice your way. You know, things are working out well. And I don't mind listening to people, but I can feel the energy when people are putting their input on things. And it has nothing that's not lining up at all of what I'm doing. It is not. I'm like, huh? I never forget a guy. He's still around. I mean, he never helped my business, but I never forget. There was a guy who had been 2012, 2013, somewhere on there. He actually said I should stick to men, like only doing men's, because I started off doing just men's. Um, he's and I don't know how it came about. Maybe I said something about maybe it was someday I might do women's suits or whatever. I don't know how it came about, but it did come about. He said you should stick to men. You should stick. I didn't at that time. This is 2013. I didn't wasn't even thinking of women. I didn't do my first women's suit until like 2019. But it was the thought. You know how people, and even that spirit at that time, because I was still gullible. I was still like, I was still asking for advice, asking for anything to get me going. And I was looking at people with prestige a lot, and that was my mistake. But at the same time, I had the backing of the Lord. I had the backing, that spiritual backing. I felt like, because there are people that wanted to buy me out. Actually, he wanted to come go in half of my business. He was like, "Man, I can get you," because he had prestige. But even at that time, it was like something's not right. Something's not right. And I felt like he seemed like a good guy. He had his own business and he's doing well with this other business he had going on. But he, at the same time, wanted to have half. Now, think about this. I barely sold, didn't know a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. And he's coming to me. This guy was a six-figure guy with his own business. And here I am, raw, still barely new, barely a year and a half in the business. And he's come to me. I could take you places. I could do this. I could do that. But I need half your business. I just said, I don't think I answered him like right away, but I just said, no. And even at that time, I knew, I just knew something was good. Something was good in me. Something good is about to happen to my business. I felt confident even back then because I made a few suits already, and I made a few suits for people at that time. And there was a couple of times that, you know, try by error, some of the suits very rare, but some of the suits did come out the way that customer liked it at that time. But still, they gave me a chance to make it again. And I came out of my own pocket to make a suit or whatever. So, man, my coffee got cold. Oh my goodness. My goodness. I love talking. But, just the journey. The journey is beautiful. Yes, I've been through ups and downs. I've actually been homeless. I've actually got my car repoed. I got the car back. I was homeless. This is 2012. Like 2012 was a rough year. Um, it was a rough year. I was homeless for 29 days. It's an ironic 29. It's like one of my favorite numbers outside of 11. And 2 plus 9 equals 11. So um, I felt, man, that was, when he came to me, I kind of got off subject a little bit, but it's like when people turn you down, you just have to realize it's something deeper because they wanted you to rely on them. They wanted you. They wanted you to rely on them, and you didn't. You graduated from that. It's amazing. Like I said, I'm not going to have time to talk about every year and all that. I'm just talking about my intro and the early years of my fashion intro. We got plenty of podcasts, plenty of things to talk about. But I just wanted to talk about that early times. I'll get to the other stuff throughout the times that I share on here. But but I'm telling you, it was beautiful just to get started, and I knew I was onto something when someone that's been in the business like that guy for a very long time to come back begging, it was like yes. And I'll get to more about that, about the baking part and how people come back in your life when you have that it and that juice. I wanted to wrap this up. I wanted to thank everybody here. As you see, I have a brand new podcast, and all of this will change. I mean, I'm not going to be in this same area every time, and you're going to see this right here. But I like this. This is kind of cool, and I am going to be talking about a lot of fashion, and you're going to see some new displays right there in background. And I'm not gonna. I don't know. You like this suit? Everybody like this suit? I like it. I'm gonna be. I'm not gonna dap it up every time. There's gonna be days. My hair is not gonna look right and all that, and smoothness. I might have to. I'll tell you. Um, but I want you to follow me on all those channels. Like I said, my website is. You can find everything basically on here too. YouTube. But my website is perryjonesii.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Perryjonesll. That's my everyday one. Perry Jones Collection is my business. Facebook is Perry Jones. X is Perry Jones LL as well. So I I know I was getting started with everything how I got going. I gave you my intro the first years or two or three about fashion, and we'll talk about other things next time. The glory, the highs and lows, what I've really been through. But that's how I got started in the business. I'm coming from Minnesota, Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, and now here I am in LA County. And we'll talk about the move I made on the next show. The move I made to this city right here, or this city state, California, and talk about more about what's going on, a little bit more about the world and all that stuff. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for tuning in and catch me in the latest. I think, like I said, I'm gonna start Sunday and Wednesdays. Sunday, it will probably be. I'm gonna try to shoot for noon or one at the latest. Today it was at 12:30. And Wednesday, I probably want to do it in the evening. So I would probably say between 6 and 7, or between 5 and 6, somewhere around there. So I will put it out there and let you know. I'll probably shoot for 6 p.m. So let's just say 6 Pacific time, and let's take it from there. And thank you very much. Believe me, all this right here, this pay attention. This is going to be looking extra in the future, near future. So stay tuned. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you, and sign off.